My ex sued me for child support for a kid that is not mine. My mom and sister are on her side. A few years ago, I dated a girl. The relationship was bad. She was very controlling and abusive. It ended badly, and we broke up. I moved on with my life, and after a few years, I got a decent job, enough to cover all my needs, live comfortably, and save a little. The thing is, a couple of months after getting my job, my ex contacted me. At first, she asked to talk. I thought she might want to reconnect or something, but she showed up with a 5-year-old child, saying he was my son and demanding child support. I didn't believe her, but the child's age matched the time since we lost contact. I consulted with a lawyer, a friend of mine, to try to resolve this out of court. I offered to take responsibility, pay all costs, and be an active part of the child's life, but only after doing a DNA test. Everyone agreed, except my ex. She acted offended and demanded, just give her the money she deserved. She used all the excuses she could, even contacted my family to tell them I was trying to avoid being responsible for her child. When she ran out of excuses and the DNA test was finally done, surprise, I'm not the father. She was so angry about the result, cried for the money, saying it was unfair and that she deserved it. But she didn't get anything. Fast forward to last week, there was a small party at my parents' house. My brother, a friend, and I were talking, and my brother started joking about the situation with my ex. My friend and I also started joking. Some of our comments were a bit dark and mean, but we were far from the rest of the people, literally on the other side of the house. And no one else could hear us, or so we thought. We were laughing like crazy when my sister showed up very angry and pushed me against the wall. She had overheard our conversation and was really furious. She started shouting at us about how horrible we were for making fun of a poor woman. A few hours later, when the party was over, she asked me to go to the kitchen with our parents and began to say how horrible I was for the previous situation. Apparently, my ex had been in contact with her, and she believed her version. And that was her way of doing an intervention. My brother and I were like, seriously? When she started saying how I forced my ex to be a single mother, and that I have a moral obligation to help her. My dad only said that maybe we were too cruel making jokes about her, but that I wasn't responsible for that child. My mom surprised us all when she said, even if the child isn't yours, you're making more than enough money to support that child. You should have helped her. Since then, I've been receiving messages. My dad and brother are on my side, saying that I'm not responsible for her, but my sister keeps telling me how horrible I am for ruining their lives. My mom just said, it's your decision and I respect it. I'm just very disappointed that you turned out to be so selfish. I'm aware that she doesn't deserve my money and I don't plan to give her anything, but the constant harassment from my sister trying to blame me is just exhausting. Top comment. Tell your sister that if she's so concerned, she should give money to your ex, as she has as much to do with conceiving the child as you do. Update. It's been a while. After my last post, I read all the comments and decided to show them to my mother. We had a talk about the situation. Again, she started on my ex's side, but after reading the post and all the comments and opinions, she realized she was wrong. I think what hurt her the most were all the doubts about whether she cheated on my dad and I wasn't his child, and if that was why she was on her side. We had a very long conversation. She told me that she believed my ex because she was always so kind and good to her that she decided not to believe me when I told her all the things she did to me during the relationship, because a good girl like her could never do something like that, so I must be lying. After that, she apologized to me. We're okay now. On the other hand, my sister, at first, she decided she wouldn't talk to me until I took responsibility, but after a few days, I talked to her. She's totally on my ex's side, even after I showed her everything. She said it didn't matter because a woman's word comes first, and that's all the proof anyone needs. She also said that even if you're not the biological father, you have an emotional responsibility to her, so you should be man enough to take responsibility and start acting like a real man. She was a lost cause. About my ex, I did some research and found out that shortly after we broke up, she started dating another guy, or maybe she was cheating on me with him before, I'm not sure. They broke up a few weeks later, and she went on multiple dates until she discovered she was pregnant. I also found out she had been trying to find a father for her child for the last 2 years, and I was next on the list, but it seems she is desperate now because she has never been so aggressive with anyone else before. Now, the reason for this post. A few days ago, my ex and my sister came to my workplace. They made a big sign with my face that said, he abandoned his child, an irresponsible father, and started a drama, spouting all their nonsense. Their intention was to shame me and use social pressure to force me to take responsibility for them. They literally said that. To make a long story short, they were removed from the place. I had trouble because of that commotion, even after showing all the evidence and legal documents proving they were lying. I was warned that this shouldn't happen again, or I would be fired. After that, I contacted my lawyer friend, and now we're drafting a very long and detailed document against them, my ex and my sister too. They went too far, and now I'm going after them with everything I've got. Maybe that will scare them enough to leave me alone. Top comment. Good luck with the restraining order. OP's response. And a defamation lawsuit, and whatever my friend can add as well. Update. Hello everyone, and sorry for the lack of updates. The past few weeks have been crazy with many things, but I think now is a good time to update you all. First of all, I'm not allowed to talk much about the lawsuit. The most I can share with you is that my ex was extremely scared when she found out. She's now begging me to drop it, offered to retract everything she said, to not bother or contact me ever again. Even tried to make me feel guilty by saying she would be ruining her and her child's life. But honestly, I don't care. I'm tired of being the nice guy. She messed with me. Now I'm fighting back. As for my sister, the lawsuit initially made things worse. Since her attempt to shame me at work didn't work as well as she wanted, she took it to social media, spreading her nonsense about me abandoning my child, or not taking responsibility, and exposing my legal actions as acts of censorship and misogyny. But in the end, that will be worse for her, not just because I can easily dismiss her defamation, but also because it's more evidence in our favor. Anyway, this is going to be a long road, and we're just getting started. Recently, we had a holiday gathering at my parents' house. Every year we use this excuse to have a big family party before Christmas. I had my doubts because I didn't want to be around my sister, but after some relatives assured me that she wouldn't be there, I decided to go. Big mistake. She was there. Mom decided that despite everything that happened, I was taking this too far, so she wanted us all to gather to resolve this issue as a family. I tried to leave as soon as I realized what she was trying to do, but some relatives tried to stop me while my mom cried, saying I needed to stop, that I was tearing the family apart and needed to learn to forgive and let go. I realized that despite everything, even knowing I was telling the truth, she was still on my sister's side. I left, telling her I wouldn't attend any family gatherings while my sister was there. At this point, almost all my family knows what happened. Some of them think my sister is crazy, others think she's crazy, but that I'm taking this too far. A couple of days ago, my mom invited me to spend Christmas with them. I didn't want to go after what happened, but I decided to give it a chance after she swore it wouldn't happen again. But not only had she planned to do it again, my brother warned me that this time she intended to lock me up until I forgave my sister and let go of the nonsense. I called my mom and told her I knew and that I was done with her and my sister, that she shouldn't speak to me until she realized she supported the wrong person and apologized. I don't need to say how many times she tried to call me in the following hours and all the drama she made when I didn't show up for Christmas. But again, I'm tired of being the nice guy. So, that's it for now. I hope everyone had a good Christmas, and I wish you a happy and drama-free New Year. Top comment. Thanks for the update, and good luck with the lawsuit. This internet stranger is rooting for you. Update. Hello to everyone still here. It's been a while, over a year, and I think now is a good time to give an update on everything that has happened with my life over the past year. A lot has happened, and many things have changed. The lawsuit. To be brief, I won. We didn't go to trial. Everything was settled in mediation meetings. My lawyer's strategy was to include everything we could think of, from harassment, defamation, to attempts to jeopardize my job, parental fraud, everything. The idea was to scare them a lot, and if that didn't work, there would be many charges against my ex and my sister. My sister kept calling it a bluff and continued posting all her nonsense on social media, which she now regrets, as every word she posted against me came back to bite her when it was used as evidence. My ex retracted everything she said. It was easier for her to apologize after realizing she would lose a lot. So she ended up agreeing to settle damages outside of court and left my sister alone in a battle she started. When my sister realized how big things really were, that she was now alone, and that she was going to lose, she panicked, deleted every post she made, tried to pretend she never did what she did. But by then we already had all the backups, screenshots, and recordings we needed. At the final mediation meeting, She broke down crying, begging me to forgive her and not to do this to her. But she did this to herself. She had multiple opportunities to stop, but she kept pushing and ended up facing the consequences of her own stupidity. She had to pay me a substantial amount, plus all legal costs. My mother helped her pay, but now she has a considerable debt as my father demanded repayment over time. For a few months, she resented me for what I did, but we ended up talking and getting back on good terms. Our relationship is damaged but healing. She confessed that, at first, she felt like she was fighting for a good reason, for a cause she believed in, to defend a needy poor woman. She believed she was doing the right thing and was sure she had to win in the end. These ideas were supported by her friends, as she said. Those girls encouraged her to fight, to confront me and make me fulfill my obligations, that she was fighting on behalf of other women. And those ideas stayed in her mind until things got too real when she saw there was no way she could win. Then all those girls disappeared. My ex left her alone, and all those who had supported her wished her luck and left. So, she had no choice but to surrender. That's how things ended with them. And for those who were wondering, no, my sister and my ex were not in a relationship. I don't know where my ex is, and I don't care. She paid and disappeared, and I hope never to see her again. Some people have told me that I went too far with her. Some even called me a monster for ruining a single mother who was already in trouble. And some said I'm disloyal to my family for taking this issue so far instead of resolving it within the family. At this point, I no longer care. My mother. During the months of the mediation, my mom took my sister's side. Several times she tried to convince me to stop, from asking me to just let it go to trying to make me feel guilty about everything she could think of, even threatening to disinherit me, saying she would no longer see me as her son, separating me from the family. But in the end, she couldn't, and she was, and still is, resentful. Throughout those months, and after everything ended, I kept wondering why she was doing this, why she kept treating me this way, siding with everyone except me. So, after reading many people suggesting I do this, I finally did. The DNA test. After discussing it with my brother and dad, we all agreed it was very strange that my mom was acting this way, and because of everything my mom said and implied, my dad had more and more doubts, to the point where he was sure she did something. After a few beers, a very tough conversation, some tears, and the promise that, no matter what the results said, to me and my brother he would always be our dad, we did the DNA test. Both of us are his sons. My dad was so relieved, but then very embarrassed for doubting his wife's loyalty. He felt very ashamed. So we ended up agreeing to apologize to her for what we did. Since I was the one who started the conversation about the DNA test, I asked to be the first to speak and apologize to her. That night, we all gathered at my dad's house. We sat around the table, and I started by acknowledging all the fights and tension we had over the months and apologizing for it because, after all, she is my mother. But her behavior made us all wonder and have many doubts about why she was acting this way. The DNA test. After discussing it with my brother and dad, we all agreed it was very strange that my mom was acting this way. Due to everything my mom said and implied, my dad had more and more doubts, to the point of being sure she had done something. After a few beers, a very tough conversation, some tears, and the promise that, no matter what the results said, to me and my brother he would always be our dad, we did the DNA test. Both of us are his sons. My dad was so relieved, but then very embarrassed for doubting his wife's loyalty. He felt very ashamed. So we ended up agreeing to apologize to her for what we did. Since I was the one who started the conversation about the DNA test, I asked to be the first to speak and apologize to her. That night, we all gathered at my dad's house. We sat around the table, and I started by acknowledging all the fights and tensions we had over the months and apologizing for it because, after all, she is my mother. However, her behavior made us all wonder and have many doubts about why she was acting this way. So I suggested that we all do a DNA test. Right after saying that, my mom turned pale, and half a second later her face turned red. She got up from her chair and lunged at me, pulling my hair, scratching, and hitting me, yelling, "Why did you do this? I hate you. You had no right." My dad and brother pulled her off me, and she immediately began apologizing to my dad. My dad was shocked and furious when he heard that I was about to apologize to her because the results said we were his children. Her face was a mix of fear and desperation. Her reaction told us everything. I had never seen my dad so angry. She confessed that a long time ago, she had an affair for a long time until she got pregnant with me. She never knew if she got pregnant by my dad or by her lover since they rarely used condoms. All these years, she had doubts about who my real father was and intended to take this secret to her grave. But now she exposed herself, and now everything made sense. That was the reason she always treated me this way, why she always put others' words before mine. Dad kicked her out that night, and in no time, the whole family knew. We warned them in case she tried to lie, which she hated because she called us saying we had no right to say anything, that she is our mother and we cannot say anything against her. The aftermath. So, to conclude this madness, I received a significant amount of money. My brother remains my best friend. My relationship with my sister is damaged but healing, and she has distanced herself from her toxic and misandric friends. My ex is gone, I hope for good this time. Dad is hurt. Mom turned out to be unfaithful, but they are not getting divorced. She is back in Dad's house, but he hasn't forgiven her and, according to what he said, he never will. He doesn't want to go through a divorce or give her anything from what he has worked for. In his words, they are married but not a couple, and now she is trying to earn my dad's forgiveness. And of course, my mom now openly hates me because, according to her, I am the cause of all her problems. In her words, if you had done what I said and taken responsibility for the child, none of this would have happened. I hope you're happy now. And that's all. Sorry for the wall of text. I hope everyone had a good 2023, and I wish you a good 2024 as well. I will continue working, saving, and trying to build a life away from this craziness. I will probably cut off contact with my mom, but at this point, I don't care anymore. Most upvoted comment. It seems that your mom had such a guilty conscience that she treated you like trash all your life. It's not that having that information makes any of her actions right. Now she's blaming you for defending yourself and causing her downfall. She did all that on her own. Zero contact would be best. I'm not sure if you should trust your sister again, although one can hope she has learned the lesson about believing people's nonsense. Watch your back. OP's response. Thank you. Unfortunately, all this nonsense has made me more cynical and distrustful of women now, so I'm watching my back all the time.